Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. It's a Canadian game. Brought to you by Molson Canadian.
It's April 9th, 1986, and the Chicago Stadium is ready to host Game 1 of the best-of-5 Norris Division semifinal series between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks. This is Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. Bob Pulford's Hawks are led by Denny Savard, Al Secord, and Steve Larmer. The Leafs have gotten big mileage out of the line of Miroslav Preacher, Peter Inachek, and Walt Podupny. Hello once again, everyone. I'm Joe Bowen, and welcome to Maple Leaf Classics here on Leafs TV. The Maple Leafs have finished 23 games under 500 in 1985-86 and 29 points behind the Chicago Blackhawks, who they meet tonight in Game 1 of the best-of-5 Norris Division Series. The Hawks scored 351 goals, but they allowed 349 in winning 39 games and finishing tops in the Norris Division. The Maple Leafs, meanwhile, scored 311 times but allowed 386 goals, making them heavy underdogs as they open this series. And to add to the problems, the first two games are going to be played on the Madhouse on Madison Street, the Chicago Stadium. The Terrors of the Tangled Twine tonight are Bob Sauvé for Bob Pulford's Hawks, while Dan Maloney will go to Ken Reagan in goal for Toronto. It's April 9th, 1986. It's the Leafs and Hawks in Game 1 of their Norris Division semifinal, and it's Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. Blackhawks boast three 40-goal shooters. Denny Savard had 47, Troy Murray 45, and Al Secord had 40. The Leafs have four sharpshooters themselves, and Mirko Preacher, rookie Wendell Clark, Tom Ferguson, Rick Vaive, who all hit the 30-goal plateau. Born in Ottawa, raised on PEI, Rick Vaive was a member of the Baby Bulls of the WHA before starting his NHL career with the Vancouver Canucks as their first pick, 5th overall in 1979. Dealt with Bill Derlego to the Leafs for Taggart Williams and Jerry Butler. Vaive became the first Leaf to score 50 goals in a season in 1981-82 and hit that plateau for 3 straight seasons. Squid would later be dealt to Chicago and finished his career with the Buffalo Sabres and is currently working as an analyst with this fine television network, Leafs TV. And he joins us today as part of watching April 9th, 1986, Norris Division semifinal. This Leaf team going into this series, if I was going to go to Vegas, I'm pretty sure I might have wagered on the Hawks. Not that I would have done that, being, you know, as big a Leaf fan as I am.
Well, I think if you had looked at the regular season, I think you might have changed your mind and you might have wagered on the Leafs, having won 6 out of 8 of the regular season games against the Hawks that year, even though they finished 29 points ahead of us, which was astounding that we were able to win 6 out of 8. And it's just one of those things that happen in sports sometimes. That you know, they beat a lot of teams that we couldn't beat, but yet that was one team that just we had their number.
Now, why was that? Why did you match up so well against Chicago in the regular season?
Well, I think that we played physical against that hockey club for some reason. It's just whether it was we had a hate on for them, and when we came out and we played against the Blackhawks that particular season, we played very physical, and because of that, we were a better hockey club. Some of our skill players, Freacher, Inachek, and these guys played a lot more physical against the Blackhawks than a lot of other teams in that particular year. And I think that was why we were successful against that club.
Rick, the Chicago Stadium was a different building. And in that era, we had Buffalo, we had the Boston Garden, even Maple Leaf Gardens, the Montreal Forum. They all had their little idiosyncrasies, but they were all different. And the Hawks built a team around their rink because it was compacted a little bit.
Well, it was. And back then you had more buildings that were like baseball, like Fenway Park, that were kind of different. They had their weird corners and so on. Well, Chicago Stadium was one of those buildings, and they built their team big, strong, and mean, and it fitted right in with the building and with the fans too, because they were a little bit mean as well. But and also it was one of those buildings, or the toughest building in the league to play in, because you had to climb all those stairs from the locker room all the way up to the ice surface each and every time you came up. And then going down was no easier because the stairs were only about 4 inches wide, so you had to go sideways, and it was really a weird situation, but it was a great building to play in.
And the dressing room was rather unique too. You had to fight the rats off to find a place to sit down.
Well, it was unique, all right. And then you sat in the locker room and just a wide open space into the washroom, and so basically you were in the washroom and you were in the locker room at the same time. So it was just an old-time building.
Yes, it was. Well, we're going to take Rick Vibe back to April 9th, 1986. It's Game 1 of the North semifinal, and this is Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV.
Chicago Stadium, but that was in fact Wayne Mesmer with the national anthems. And the officials tonight, Kerry Fraser's the referee, Leon Stickle and Ron Asseltine on the lines with him tonight. The off-ice officials are, by the way, from St. Louis. Tonight's goaltenders, as Dave just mentioned, Ken Reggett. When he first came up, he was labeled as the Leaf goalie of the future. He has a big test tonight, folks. His very first playoff game. He's 22. And there's the 30-year-old Bob Sauve. It was a toss of a coin kind of thing for Pulford. He's going with Sauve. A 30-year-old against a 20-year-old. And game 1 of this best of 5 is underway. The Maple Leafs dump it into the Chicago zone. They start with Inachak, Preacher, and Podubny against Murray, Presley, and Fraser for Chicago. And Presley is 17, coming out with Murray 19 to center. And it's Presley going in. Rudin Katsopoulos on the Maple Leaf defense. Keith Brown and Ben Wilson starting for Chicago.
Well, you heard about Rick Vibe in his interview talking about the Leafs have to play aggressively. In the opening face-off, Leafs shot it in, and we saw 2 good takeouts. Well, a long time ago, in fact, in 1967, the last time these two teams met, Bob Pulford was a member of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They defeated the Hawks in 6 games and went on to win the Stanley Cup. Pulford played in a line with Stamkowski and Pappen.
Ben Wilson shoots it in for Chicago. A center, and here's Reggett being tested. That one just misses on the short side. Podubny for the Toronto Maple Leafs against Troy Murray, gets it through the center ice area. And the Hawks break it up. In between the 2 blue lines again, Preacher, neat play ahead to the line. That is Podubny to Preacher, went through his skates. And Presley is in there for Chicago, run behind his own net. They played a minute of the opening period, no score. And a penalty being called right off the bat by Kerry Fraser. Sticks go up, high sticking, pushing and shoving. We thought maybe we'd have a rough series, especially opening in this first game. And by the looks of things, that will happen. They want to go at it right away.
There's a case where there's a retaliation penalty by Fraser. Preacher, a good check, and Fraser retaliated, and that's something that the Blackhawks talked about. We can't get into situations like that and take bad penalties.
And now, hello to you people who have been watching the Montreal-Boston first period. I'm Bob Cole with Gary Dornhofer in Chicago. And the Maple Leafs and the Hawks have just started. We've only played a minute and 4 seconds of the opening period. There is no score, and we have penalties called by the referee, Kerry Fraser.
Well, there's a case, Bob, that Fraser got the initial penalty, and he added a little more to it by giving Preacher that extra shot. Let's keep an eye on it. There's a retaliation by Fraser, and then he'll go back at Preacher again. So the Leafs have a golden opportunity here with a 4-minute power play.
Curt Fraser draws 2 minor penalties, Preacher 1. By the way, Al Secord, suffering from the flu, is not dressed for Chicago tonight. So the 40-goal scorer for the Blackhawks will not play in this opening game. Preacher Future did not draw a penalty on the play. FRASER is in the penalty box. So the Leafs get the first power play opportunity, and both coaches talking to them today realize the importance of the specialty teams. It could decide the series.
Absolutely, Bob, and that's an excellent point. Rick Vaive touched on that. He said one way to silence this crowd here in Chicago Stadium is to just blow and by Sauvé early. So Vaive had predicted a couple of early goals. Well, he'll get the golden opportunity right now on the power play.
Looking at the penalties assessed again, Curt Fraser of Chicago. Slashing and high sticking. So he's in there for 4 minutes. 3:52 remaining in the penalties. The Leafs with a man advantage. We have no score in this first period. That is Smith dumping it in. Ruther Thomas dumping it in for Toronto. At the line is Iafrate, and his shot hit by stick and bounced wide of the net. Leafs with a man advantage at the line. Iafrate knocked it along the boards, and Fergus trying to get loose. Fergus is tied up on the play by Olczyk. Here's Vaive. Oh, and it just crumbled off Sauvé's leg and went wide of the net. The Leafs nearly got the game's first goal. Bob Murray to center. He dumps it in, killing a few seconds. 3:17 left in the minor penalties to Curt Fraser of Chicago. 5 of the Leafs shooting it in. And it got by the skate of Ferguson, went down the ice again.
You can see the plan of the Leafs when they're in full motion. They're firing that puck in. Then it's up to the wingers to try to do some decent forechecking.
Salming looking pretty good, coming out with this rush. Another penalty coming up. It'll be against Chicago. Leaf player dumped behind the net by Ben Wilson. But before this play got in that far, the Hawks are nabbed for another minor penalty.
Now that was a two-hander. That was a slash.
Ludzik is going to the box. And the fans here in the Chicago Stadium are upset.
Well, they have no reason to be upset, Bob, because it was a real two-hander as the Leafs were carrying the puck to their own end. And you can see that Bob Pulford now is certainly in a bad situation. You saw Salming carrying the puck, made a good move against Ludzik, and the penalty call. You talk about takeouts in playoff time, that when it comes to the forefront. Give Podubny marks. He knew he was going to get hit, but he kept barreling in there to try to come up with that puck. Ben Wilson put the finishing touch to him.
Fraser has 2:51 left in his double minor. And now Ludzik is in the box. Boy, the Leafs have a great opportunity here.
They really got to jam the front of the net and try to get the shots low from the point. You know, you get somebody in front of Sauvé, somebody off to the side, and get the shot along the ice. The Leafs do that, they've got an excellent chance of getting that early lead, which is so very important to that hockey club.
The Hawks have just the 3 skaters in front of Sauvé. And the Leafs have 5 out there. In a check on the draw, and it goes to the corner. Bob Murray. He's tied up, he falls on it. And they'll get another face-off in the Maple Leaf zone to the right of Sauvé.
Now, Bob, he has been a real veteran and a sound player for the Blackhawks. 31 years old, 10th year in the National Hockey League. Originally a 3rd-round pick from the Cornwall Royals. Played all his professional hockey right here in Chicago.
Reggett hasn't had to make a save yet. It's not likely he will for a little bit, although you never know. This Hawk team set a record for short-handed goals this season. They're down 2 skaters now, though. The Leafs trying to keep it in. They can't do it. 35 seconds left in the first minor to Curt Fraser. Ludzik is also in the box. Salming coming up at the line. He nearly went in there with the puck. Podubny was ahead of him. He would have been offside. Salming spotted him. Now Preacher along the boards and Troy Murray in there. Lost it against Podubny. The Leafs looking for the puck. And the Hawks are going to clear it out. They're doing a solid job holding the fort while the Leafs have 2 extra men.
You've got to get a line change out there. If the guys aren't going to come up with that puck when you have a 2-man situation, get other players out on the ice.
Lehman is there now. He's on fresh to Salming. Salming looking to the side of the net. Preacher will go back to Salming up the line. A shot through the traffic. It went off his skate wide of the net. Creature to Salming, closing in. Another pass, and Sauvé made a big save as Lehman tested him from the angle. Kurt Fraser's first minor penalty is over. The Leafs on top of the puck, trying to get a decent shot for a goal here. Salming's drive, knockdown, rebound, and Sauvé is coming up big in the first 3 minutes of this hockey game. The Leafs have had great opportunities, but there is still no score.
It was an interesting situation as far as the Blackhawks were concerned. Who do you put in the net, Sauvé or Bannerman? Bannerman won 2 big important games down the stretch, but because Sauvé had beaten the Leafs twice this year, he got the call, but he has stood tall, good position on the shooters, and just hanging on for that rebound.
A thing like this could kill an inexperienced hockey team like the Maple Leafs. Coming into the playoffs, the first time the Leafs have been in for 3 seasons, 36 seconds left in the Leipzig penalty. And the Leafs had extra 2 players on there for another 36 seconds.
Well, there's different ways of getting the enthusiasm going over and beyond what we already see, Bob. I mean, what a lift for the Blackhawks and the crowd here if they can kill off this penalty. By the same token, if the Leafs can get a goal, you know, they say, well, here we go again. That's what we've been doing during the regular season with this hockey team. We're just beating them to the punch and outscoring them. So this is a very important part of this hockey game.
Fergus on there to take this draw, and he'll try to win it against Lysiak, who's no slouch himself. Fergus won it. Salming passes off. Back to Salming. Salming doesn't shoot it from there. There's a drive. Score! Thomas got the goal. It went through the legs of Sauvé. And the Leafs, in fact, do get a power play goal and lead Chicago 1-0. Salming was instrumental.
Instrumental, and it took a 3-way passing play. Watch Thomas now. A goal scorer gets himself into a set position. Thomas didn't stop the puck. He ripped it in one motion. Now, I wish we could have a look at Sauvé. He really hadn't set up properly. He had the legs open, and that's where Thomas put it. He wasn't aiming from a corner, Bob. All he was trying to do was get that shot on net, and went right through the legs of Sauvé.
Leipzig is in the penalty box with 27 seconds left in the penalty. Now, Fraser was the player who was in there first that caused the shorthanded situation. That is what they're discussing now.
Here's another view of it. The quick release by Thomas. And it was, you know, he was really at a bad angle, but the reason he scored is because he didn't hesitate on the shot and let Sauvé get in a set position. Maloney was a little upset about something.
Now the Leafs still with a man advantage, leading 1-0, drawing first blood in this first game in this series. The Hawks are coming out on the far side. Cleared in, Reggett out of the net, cutting the angle. Long pass ahead, and there's going to be a penalty to the Maple Leafs on this play. The Hawks have possession. They're coming in. Sauvé races to the bench. They have an extra man on now. Back to the line. It'll go to center. The Hawks still have it. Their net is empty. They have an extra skater on. Coming in, Leipzig dropping it back, and the Leafs finally gain possession. And the penalty is coming up against the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the Leafs are leading 1-0.
Now Kenny Reggett draws the Leafs' first penalty, a slashing call. So the Blackhawks have finished second overall in power play efficiency in the National Hockey League, but only 16.1% against the Leafs during the regular season, scoring only 5 goals and 31 opportunities, get their first crack.
Therrien and Daou, very important factors for the Maple Leafs now, are on there to try to kill this penalty. There's Therrien going in.
Bobby, we talked about that this morning. You brought that point up. They're not going to see much ice time other than in a penalty-killing role, so there is a tremendous responsibility on Daou and Therrien.
Daou is upset in front of the Chicago net. The plate comes to Sutter down on the right side. Larmer rolled it back in front. It's centered. Sutter couldn't hang on to the pass. He was right in front of Reggett. 1-0 Toronto. Doug Wilson played it in. Savard gets set. Moved it around. Larmer in the corner. Back to the point. Here's a shot by Murray. That went off his skate. The Leafs are going to clear it out. They get it ahead to center. Doug Wilson was there. Hawks in again. Savard faking the shot. He's a wizard with the puck. Savard dumped it right in there. Sutter was in behind Katsopoulos and couldn't control it. Katsopoulos gets it back to the point. That's Larmer over there coming in. Larmer won't shoot from that angle. Hawks with a man advantage. Doug Wilson to Larmer. Bad angle again. Larmer waiting, trying to spring somebody loose, and he gave it to Naou. He couldn't get it very far. He hit Keith Brown at the blue line. Brown to Doug Wilson. 30 seconds left in the Maple Leaf penalty. Iafrate is serving it. It was against Reggett. Leafs lead 1-0. The Hawks on the power play gain the line, but they throw it up in front of the net, and Nyland was there. And he shoots it down the ice.
Now, the Blackhawks had some good passing plays, Bob, but then they really ruined the power play opportunity by coughing up the puck twice, making bad plays through people. That's a tough play to make.
Keith Brown shoots it in. 5 seconds left in the Maple Leaf penalty. It's been frustrating for the Blackhawks this season and up to this point in this first game of the playoffs. Here's Brown, shoots it wide. Reggett trying to get back in, and he did. Reggett came across the goal line, and the goaltender, playing in his first playoff, made a big move by hustling across the line.
Well, Reggett, he has been in good position. He got a little off balance there. You notice how he stretched across the net and just manages to tick the puck behind and eventually got a hold of it. One thing that the Blackhawks touched on, Bob, is that Reggett will wander from time to time. So they want to force him and get right on him at every opportunity to look for that rebound.
He was out gloving that shot from Bergevin from the blue line. No problem. The Leafs lead 1-0. Here's Iafrate along the line. And the Hawks, Lysiak steals it. Comes away to center, going in. Trying to go right in there, and he did. Puck is stopped by Reggett. And the Leafs get away with that one and clear it out to center. Dubny lost it. Patterson up on the side. He gave it to Lysiak in the middle, and here's Bergevin, the defenseman, in again. Bergevin, number 2, stopping along the boards. Gets it back to the blue line. Lysiak throws it up on the glass. Dubny chopped at it. It's still in there. O'Callaghan shot is blocked. The backhander, a weak one by Ludwig, is grabbed by Reggett. The Leaf goal, Thomas from Salming and Lehman at 3:46. While the Leafs were on a power play, and they're leading 1-0.
Well, one thing the Blackhawks talked about prior to this game is we have to force, we have to go right at Reggett, make things very difficult for him. And this is exactly what happens with Jurenchuk. He's coming right in. Look at the stick, the goal stick, the poke check that just knocks the puck away. Well, that was Lysiak on that play.
But an excellent play by Ken Reggett, using that goal stick to poke the puck away from the veteran Lysiak.
So the Leafs have killed a penalty. And the Hawks now will line up to the left of Ken Reggett. I tell you, people were wondering how Reggett would handle this playoff situation. Of course, we're only into the first 7.5 minutes of the hockey game, but he looks rather poised and confident. Didn't look shaky at all as the Hawks were swarming in there with a man advantage. Let's see how it develops. The Leafs are leading 1-0 on the Steve Thomas goal. Live firing one in wide of the Chicago net because the Leafs want to make changes. And the Hawks are winding up in their own zone. Ben Wilson to the line, to the middle. It's chopped in there by Presley, who was knocked down. And it's going to be offside. And the play is called.
Well, a very pleasant surprise for the Blackhawks. Troy Murray ended up with 45 goals and 99 points. That placed him second on the team, but he has just played so well, not only in an offensive role, but also defensively. And a lot of times during the course of the year, Troy Murray has been faced with shutting down the top line of the opposition. And he's also plus 32 on the hockey club. That led the team.
Holford doesn't like this call, but in fact that puck was touched last on the Chicago side at center. Hence icing had been called, and it goes all the way back to the Chicago zone.
Well, there's the interesting matchup. Courtnall against Savard. I think if the Leafs are going to be successful, they can't let Savard carry the puck.
Leafs knock it down at the blue line, but offside. Lehman tried to keep it in. It was just out over the line. And it's called again.
Well, again, Savard had an excellent year, registering 116 points. That's the 4th time he's been over the 100-point mark. But by his own admission, he did not play well against the Leafs. He doesn't know the reason why. He was a very frustrated player whenever he played the team. And he said, one thing I got to do is stay on the ice. He got 111 minutes in penalty, and a lot were of the chippy variety and the misconducts.
Bill Root and Katsopoulos, the Leaf defensemen, get together to poke it into the Chicago zone again. Fergus played it ahead. Now 5. Threw it into the corner. 5 goes to the front of the net. The pass back in front. Katsopoulos, a weak backhander. And the Hawks shoot it out of the zone. Toronto leading 1-0. Steve Thomas had the goal for the Leafs. And here they come again. A long shot that's knocked down by Sauvé. In back of the net. Doug Wilson is being hounded over there and can't move it very far. Callahan ripped it on the boards for Sutter. Sutter got a pass to center going all the way down the ice. Icing waved off though. Reggett out of the net in there. Behind the net to stop it. Now Thomas got a pass ahead. This is Ferguson 5 coming in. Look at that play. 5 couldn't get the shot away. Fanned on it. He moved very quickly. Had everybody fooled, but fanned on it. Back up for Chicago. This is Larmer looking fairly good on this rush. Savard takes his pass and intercepted by Courtnall. He's away and Lehman is catching up. A shot, hard one, and that's wide. It'll go high on the glass and comes back down on the ice. Didn't clear the glass. Looked for a moment as if it would go in the crowd. And Wendell Clark, number 17, checked in his own zone. Clark couldn't move it out. Ben Wilson, pass ahead. Watson and Olchek went after it. Yaremchuk is up on the other side. Here comes Watson looking for it. Here's Olchek. Nobody can find it, and the Leafs get it out to Lehman. Lehman shooting it in. Dumped it off to the far side. Wendell Clark coming in there, and he pounds a check into Brown. In on the boards, and there's no further play. Tonight's game is coming to you from the Chicago Stadium.
The Leafs score early in the game. Steve Thomas gets his first playoff goal, and first playoff goal in this series, first playoff goal ever. There's 11 players on this team that have never tasted Stanley Cup playoff action, including, I guess, the rookie coach as far as Dan Maloney is concerned.
Yeah, and I think that was one of our concerns going into the playoffs was the fact that the inexperience, and even some of the older guys that had been around for 4 or 5 years, that had played with the Maple Leafs had not tasted a whole lot of playoff experience. So we were a rather young team as far as playoffs were concerned. And but at the same time, you know, you got new guys coming in. It's new to them, so there's not as much fear there. It's like, you know, they don't know what to expect. It's like they're just going out. They're young guys. They're going to have fun. They're just going to play another game. And you saw that in the way that these guys played.
When you take a look at this team and you look back on it, Rick, and there is some talent here that ended up going to other organizations later on and blossoming there. It really was a shame that this group wasn't kept together.
Well, yeah, I think it was. I mean, you know, I think if things had stayed together and there had been some continuity for the next 4 or 5 years. I mean, you know, you had the emergence of Wendell Clark and Courtnall and Lehman at the time, and Salming was still playing as well as, well, he could have played till he was 50 probably and still been effective. And guys like Derlago, Daou, and Fergus, and some other players, and then on defense, Nyland, Iafrate, who went on and had good careers elsewhere. So if we had been able to do it, kept this team together, I'm sure that down the road perhaps there would have been more success.
Well, at this particular point, there is success. It's 1-0 Toronto because it's Game 1 of the semifinal in the Norris Division best-of-5 series. Let's go back to the action.
Strange things can happen in a short series in the Stanley Cup. I know it's early, but that's got to be a shocker with the Rangers leading Philadelphia by 2 goals.
Ted Sater returns home. Remember, he was a part of the coaching staff last year for the Flyers. He loved nothing better than to go right into Philadelphia and win.
Here in Chicago, the Maple Leafs are leading the Blackhawks 1-0. The goal by Thomas. The Hawks are in there now. Back to the line. Score! Doug Wilson really ripped a shot by Reggett, and we're tied.
And that got things stirred up, but you know, it was a defensive mistake by Ken Reggett. He didn't see Fraser, he just dumped it right to him. But look at how Wilson unloads that shot, an overpowering shot. Now, I don't know if that hit Nyland's stick, Bob, and perhaps shot up.
It might have hit Presley's stick and shot up. Let's watch it again.
Nyland was right there, Presley was right there, but the shot will change direction. I thought it hit Nyland's stick. In any event, Reggett got himself into trouble there by giving that puck to Fraser.
They've given the goal to Wilson, so if it did hit a stick in front, it had to be the stick of Nyland. At any rate, we're tied at 1. 11:49, the time of the tying goal for Chicago. Boy, when you give Wilson an opportunity to set up for a shot on the net from inside that blue line, anywhere, especially dead straight on, tough for the goaltender to stop it.
Well, by the same token, Bob, you know, Reggett was not screened on the play. He was in a challenging position. I really believe that that puck changed direction and shot upwards.
Came off a stick in front of the net and went up. Nyland was the defenseman there. There's Brown's shot. That's deflected. But then it hit somebody in front of the net and didn't get to Reggett. Another shot. Oh, Reggett had to be big on that one. Ben Wilson took a shot from the blue line. And let me tell you, it was deflected in front of the net, and Reggett somehow was very fast to stop that.
You know, for a fourth line, Lysiak, Ludzik, and Patterson, every time they've been on the ice, they've applied the pressure. They've been in the Leafs zone. What is happening now is the Leafs are not watching their points very closely. So the Blackhawks are having a great time just putting that puck on the net. And again, you see the man in front using the deflection, but Reggett made an outstanding save.
That he did. There's the big save by Reggett, and we're still tied at 1. 11:49 was the time of the tying goal for Chicago, and Fraser was given an assist. The goal by Doug Wilson. So 1-1 now. With 7:52 to play in the first period. And the Hawks are coming back now. Troy Murray goes in there. They'll hold that one for another face-off in the Toronto zone to the right of Ken Reggett.
Well, I'm afraid he is wearing a pillow-type protection, protecting a kidney that he got injured a few games before the playoffs began, and it was doubtful whether he was going to play, but he said he feels fine now. He's not sore, and it's not uncomfortable wearing that pad.
Troy Murray, 19, got the draw. Ben Wilson moved up. Another shot deflected in front. Reggett looked very cool, reaching out to knock it away so that Daou could come out with it. Daou dumps it in. Inachak goes in after it. He's back to the net. Tried to center it and could not. Puck goes bouncing high. This time it goes over the glass into the crowd. And now we have the Stanley Cup update for you, and here's Dave.
Bob, the scoreless tie in Montreal has been broken by the Canadiens on a power play. The assists go to Gaston Gingras here and Mats Naslund, who will pass the puck to number 15, who turns and shoots. Bobby Smith opens the scoring in Montreal.
Well, Dorney, the Canadiens really did get a break to get home ice advantage in that series with the Boston Bruins, and they're not wasting that home ice advantage, as it appears, scoring first.
Well, you work all year for the home ice advantage, Bob, and it's a tough situation when you lose it in one game.
Doug Wilson passed to the blue line. He tried to send Savard in. He didn't hang on to it. Now back. Larmer is over there for Chicago. Savard dropped it back inside his own line again. Could have been a mistake. Leafs are in. And it was just hit wide as Inachak tried to set it up. Sutter dumped one out. Leafs are coming back. That's Kotsopoulos taking a look. Ripped it on the boards. It'll go all the way down the ice. This will be icing. If O'Callaghan can touch it, he does. And icing is called against the Maple Leafs as Kotsopoulos shot it away. Ken Reggett and Bob Sauvé, the goaltenders tonight. I'm Bob Cole with Gary Dornhofer, along with Dave Hodge at the Chicago Stadium. For Game 1 of this best-of-5 Stanley Cup Series, the Hawks and the Maple Leafs are tied at 1 with 6:54 to play in the opening period. Thomas for the Leafs on a power play. Wilson even up goal for the Blackhawks. The Leafs try to get it out on the draw, and it's Fergus finally dumping it to center. 5 is there. 5 shoots it into the Chicago zone.
But really the only consistent line matchup up to this point has been Troy Murray against Vai's line.
That's Presley being stopped on a great play by Katsopoulos. He appeared to be behind the Leaf defenseman. A great defensive move by Katsopoulos. Presley was nearly in. There's Presley bumping with Thomas and knocking him to the ice. Now Rick 5 is coming in there for Toronto against Wilson. Knocked to the ice and behind Bob Sauvé. And the Hawks rough it up and get going. Fraser's shot is blocked by McGill. McGill wincing as he stopped that one, but he got the puck out of the zone. Now Yaremchuk back here for Chicago. He is tied up, and the play is called offside at the Chicago line.
Well, right now the Blackhawks are the more aggressive team. They're really pounding the Leafs and involved in some really excellent takeouts. You got to get that enthusiasm going again and get it a little life and work and do things that they were doing earlier in the game. A good pass set up this play, but a better defensive effort by Katsopoulos as he just reached out and hooked the puck away from Presley without drawing a penalty. Boy, they don't come any better than that. I just noticed that Steve Thomas is heading for the dressing room. He took quite a check by Fraser against the boards. We'll try to get a report on.
McGill and Nyland are on there for Toronto, and it's Nyland who's shooting it in. Bergevin trying to clear it. He does. Olczyk is racing after it. Watson is with him. Olczyk in there, and he went too high with the shot. He fooled everybody, including the goaltender, and tried to put it upstairs. In fact, he did, about a foot too high. There's Watson being stopped. Inachak in the center ice zone. Inachak with Preacher catching up. Preacher went in after it. Yaremchuk chasing him. The pass came in front of the net. Now Sauvé, out of the goal, just put his hand down on it and decided he'd better hang on. Preacher was the only player in there.
Now, Preacher had an excellent year, not only during against all the other hockey clubs, but also against the Blackhawks. He led the team in goals and points. So if the Blackhawks are considering and trying to shut somebody down, I guess they would look at a guy like Preacher, because he almost single-handedly destroyed the team.
Shots are fairly even up to this point in the first period. The Hawks 9, the Maple Leafs 8. We're tied at 1 with 5:23 to play. Doug Wilson back from the net for Chicago. Sutter is to the left, and the pass goes to the right side. O'Callaghan carries on, dumped it in for Sutter. Sutter got him behind Iafrate. Now Courtnall out for Toronto. Bad pass for Lehman, went in behind him. He had to stop. Iafrate just got rid of it. Clark is knocked to the ice. The play continues to the Chicago zone. A long play out by O'Callaghan. Now it goes to the right side or offside. And the play is called.
Gary Lehman started the season in Toronto, ended up in St. Catharines, and then was recalled again, and to again reunite the Hound line, as they are called. And they have worked well together as a unit.
They remain on. Courtnall, Clark, and Lehman. Haven't heard too much from Wendell Clark so far in this hockey game, but don't worry, that'll change.
There's one good hit to get him going. One good check.
Hawks and the Leafs are tied at 1. Farmer comes in for Chicago. Tried to set up Savard, and the Leafs are going to get it out of the zone. That's Courtnall dumping it ahead. Clark just missed it. Now he ran into O'Callaghan inside the line. Here's Savard coming in. Pass back in front. He nearly set up Watson perfectly with a back pass. Courtnall will come out to Clark. Clark going in there. Wendell Clark scores! Wendell Clark, as we said, you would hear from him, and boy, can he shoot that puck.
Well, it was a miscue by the Blackhawks right at the blue line. And when you're a goal scorer the way Wendell Clark is, you take advantage of breaks like that. And Bob, we always talk about how important those breaks are to your hockey club. Well, let's watch it. There's the glove. Where's the puck? I've got it, says Clark. And you know, he doesn't slap the puck. He's got his head up. He picks a spot and uses that devastating wrist shot. And he just overpowers goaltenders, and he puts everything into it, and right on the short side. You saw that Sauvé was out challenging, and he said, look, if you could put it inside the post, you deserve it. That's exactly where Clark put it.
And the Leafs Preacher is in there now. Preacher put it up high, and Sauvé stopped that. The Leafs are ahead again, 2-1, and Preacher nearly had another one right there. Leafs try to clear the zone now with 2:20 to play in the period. Dumpy near center, ahead to Jack, who looks around for Preacher. His shot, gloved by Sauvé, and there's Preacher again, in close. Wendell Clark from Courtnall at 17-22, giving the Leafs a 1-goal lead again. Dave will be talking to Denny Savard in our first intermission. We'll have some action from the Forum in Montreal, where Boston is in there for their opener. And we'll have an in-depth look at the season series between these two teams. We've been talking about that so much. Toronto and Chicago, in which Toronto handled Chicago 6 out of 8 times. And they're leading now in this first period at 2-1 with 2:12 to play.
And have looked very impressive. Their positional play has been excellent. The one thing they have to improve on is not to allow that many shots from the point. The wingers have to play a little tighter to the Chicago defensemen.
Ben Wilson starts to play. Chicago Blackhawks get as far as center. Troy Murray ran into Dow. 5 comes back in, and he goes to the ice again, being checked by Brown. The Hawks start out. 3 of them come to center ice. Coming in, Ben Wilson. Banned on his shot. Had his stick lifted by Iafrate, and the Leafs chop it out of the zone. 1:45 to play in the period. Hawks in again. FRASER on the left wing, shooting it in. Reggett out of the net. Dumped it there in the corner. FRASER going after it. Slapped it up on the boards. They're still fighting for possession. And FRASER losing the stick, had to kick it loose. Now he holds it on the boards. He was checked by Iafrate. And the play is called with a minute 28 left in the opening period. And the Leafs leading by a 2-1 score.
Well, Curt Fraser has had a pretty good year for the Blackhawks. 29 goals and 68 points is a NHL high for him. He started off on a real terror streak at the beginning of the year. He tapered off somewhat, but you'll see Fraser do a lot of the aggressive work. And you know, earlier when the game first started, Bob, he took that double minor that resulted in a goal, and that's something that Bob Pulford talked about. We can't retaliate against the Maple Leafs. You know, you take hit for hit, but it's those retaliatory penalties that really put you behind the 8 ball.
Well, that was one area where the Maple Leafs had to improve in the playoffs, and the power play was not doing very much, but they did get a goal tonight on the power play. And it gave them a 1-0 lead at the time. The Hawks were back to tie as Wilson scored, Doug Wilson, and Wendell Clark.
Well, for the young guys, it's so important for the Leafs to go into the dressing room, go down those steps, and have that 1-goal lead. Very important.
Well, let's see now. A minute 28 left in the period. Another big face-off in the Leaf zone to the right of the net. Old check. Rolled it into the corner. Katsopoulos goes behind the net for the Maple Leafs. Dow to the left side. Katsopoulos comes this way to Root. To Vine. Vine given a hard hit by Bergevin. Hawks keep it in. Bergevin got loose. Going in. Reggett stopped it. Rebound. Scramble. It's knocked away from the goal mouth. Reggett was big on that save. Bergevin went right in. Here's another shot by Murray. That's wide of the net with a minute left in the opening period, and Vibe is really getting the nailing now. Bergevin gave him another shot inside the blue line. And this is what results, but I'll tell you, Gary, Rick Vibe has been hit a fairly bit in this opening period, but I've noticed he took most of his hits in the Chicago end. But lately, Bergevin and Vibe had something going, because Bergevin had hit Vibe twice.
Well, it certainly would look like the Blackhawks are keying on Rick Vibe. And those two hits that Vi took, my goodness, and he stayed on his skates. He didn't go down. But I think the Leafs, they have to exchange hit from hit with the Chicago Blackhawks. They can't always be on the receiving end. Bob, you talked about it. Let's have another look at it. It was a good, clean hit by Bergevin.
Here at the Chicago Stadium, 53 seconds remaining in the first period, and the Toronto Maple Leafs lead the Chicago Blackhawks by the score of 2-1. Thomas on a power play for the Maple Leafs at 3:46. Doug Wilson with a bullet shot from the blue line that was deflected off a Leaf defenseman's stick at 11:49. And then Wendell Clark from Courtnall at 17:22, and the Leafs lead at 2-1.
Well, with Al Secord of the lineup, Bob Pulford has juggled his lines around, sometimes using Sutter on the left side. This time he's got Watson up there.
Ken Reagan is in goal for the Maple Leafs, the 22-year-old, and the 30-year-old Bob Sauvé is in the nets for Chicago tonight. Game 1 of a best-of-5 Stanley Cup Series. Toronto were successful 6 out of 8 times against Chicago in the regular season, and they're leading here with 50 seconds left in the first period, 2-1. Puck to Terrien at center. He dumped it in. Chicago Blackhawks come speeding back, and this is Savard. Savard coming in. Put on the brakes. It comes in front of the net. Watson shot. Reagan doing a juggling act. The puck went high, and Reagan turned back over his shoulder. That might have gone under the crossbar, but the goaltender made the save.
Now keep an eye now on Reggett as he's in a challenging position. He loses sight of the puck for just an instant, then picks it up. Now, since he was out about 10 feet from his crease, he had to backtrack a little bit and made a pretty good catch. I mean, a center fielder would have been proud of that catch.
34 seconds to play in the period. Toronto Maple Leafs 2, Chicago Blackhawks 1. Face off again in the lead zone as the Hawks keep pressing. Ready to drop it in. Here's the face-off. Shot right off the bat. I don't know if Reggett saw it, but he was there in the right spot and made the save. They ripped the shot right at him. 25 seconds left in the period. Watson was stopped, but here's Doug Wilson again. Wilson coming in for Chicago. Flipped it over in front of the net. The Hawks are in after it. Watson centered it. Reagan coolly knocked it away with his stick. 10 seconds left in the period. The Hawks were checking the Leafs into the ice now. Savard is stopped by Nyland, and the Leafs are going to clear it away. Five took the pass as the siren goes to end the period number 1. And the Leafs hang on to that 1-goal lead. They're leading. And the score at the end of this first period is Toronto 2 and Chicago 1.
Wendell Clark scores to make it 2-1 in favor of the Toronto Maple Leafs at the end of the first period. Dave Hodge is standing by with Chicago star Denny Savard.
With me is the Hawks' leading scorer, Denny Savard, though he was not that against the Leafs this season. Let's first ask whether the Leafs did something to hold you down or whether you just feel you didn't play well enough in the 8 games against them.
Well, I don't think I played well against them, Dave. But the thing is, they really matched up well against us, against any other line, and that's why they won 6 games against us. You know, playoffs a brand new season, and I'm trying to gain my confidence against them. Hopefully, it'll be within the first, or hopefully in the second period anyway.
It's interesting that the Blackhawks had a better record outside the Norris division than they did inside the Norris division, and some people have suggested that you took the teams in your division, which is admittedly the worst in the league, a little bit too easily, and you really got up for the Phillies and the Edmontons, and whether you beat them or not, you played better against them than you did against the teams in this division. Is that true?
Yes, we have. I don't know why, but there shouldn't be any excuses. I think every team in our division has played well all year. Minnesota has you know, got a new life now. They've played well all year. St. Louis, who's an improved hockey club, they really work hard. In Toronto, even though they had a record below way 500, they seem to play well. They got good forwards, and they're a really underrated team.
Well, one thing that's bothering your line tonight is that Al Secord isn't on it. We have been told that he's in the hospital with the flu. Can you add anything to that?
Well, that's all they told me, Dave. You know, Al reported this morning he was sick, and you know, he had 101 fever going, and you know, right now he's in the hospital. Hopefully he's going to recover as quick as possible because really we need him bad.
One more question about the Blackhawks as a team. You set a team record for goals scored this season, helped out by your 47. You almost set a record for goals against. So this was a bit strange to figure out. What does that tell you about the way this team played?
Well, you know, we haven't played consistent defense all year, and you know, when you want to be successful, you got to play really well defensively. All teams that won championships, they won it with defense, and you know, we're realizing right now that we're going to have to play good defense. And you know, really, it was a thing that we worked on all year, but it seemed like you know, we just kept playing bad defensively as a team, and you know, we're making really a lot of mistakes defensively, and hopefully that you know, we can regain ourselves and play as well as we can defensively, and again, we'll probably be you know, right up there again.
Are you a confident team coming into this series, or because of the fact that you're playing the Leafs and because of what they did to you, are you, shall we say, a bit jittery?
Yes, we are. You know, they've gained a lot of respect. You know, they're in the regular season this year, the way they've played against us. But you know, we know on paper we've got a better team than the Leafs, but you know, we've got to go out there and make it happen, and that's not what we did this year. And you know, if we want to win this year, we're going to have to outwork these guys and play as hard as we can. You know, they're a team that really works hard to come to play every night.
Is it a bit strange to find a team that beats you here? I mean, you can have trouble with a team in its rank, but here's a team that's won 3 and maybe could have won all 4 games.
Exactly. The game we won, we were kind of lucky there. We had great goaltending, and they missed a lot of chances. So, you know, again, you know, we're just going to have to pull together, and hopefully, again, we're going to win it because, you know, we're favored, I guess, to win this series, but, you know, it's going to be a good series, and it'll be fun to play in it.
It's Game 1 of the North semifinal, and this is Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV. Rick, Denny Savard, I guess if you look at any organization, they'll all look at their draft and say, oh, gosh, how could we have missed that and done this? And, of course, Montreal Canadiens fans are clamoring and have for years. Doug Wickenheiser went first, and Denny Savard ended up going to Chicago right in their back door, and this guy turns out to be one of the most exciting players this league has ever had.
Well, there's no question about that, and Montreal, especially the fans, you know, I mean, I think you couldn't really question the Canadiens' pick at the time. Wickenheiser was a much bigger, stronger guy in Western Canada that had 160 points, I believe, in his last year junior. So at the time, I mean, it was a wise pick by the Montreal Canadiens. It turned out to be not so wise, as Denny Savard, as you said, became one of the most electrifying players that ever played the game. And I had the privilege, actually, of playing with him when I got traded to Chicago from the Leafs very shortly after this particular year, and played with him from day one, and then Larmer on the other side. And I mean, it was just, sometimes I found myself standing around just watching him instead of playing the game, and that was the toughest part about it. But you knew when Denny got the puck, and when we started playing with one another and knew where each other were going to be, all I had to do was find an opening and let him do the rest, because I knew that he was going to beat 5 or 6 guys, maybe go back and beat them for a second time, and then find me in the opening.
He was like that. It was like a water bug. Oh. You couldn't catch him. You couldn't lay the body on him, and he had tremendous puck control.
The big thing about Denny, the amazing thing, was how good his puck control was at a very, very high speed. You know, I had to slow it down a little bit to hang on to the puck, and so did a lot of other guys. He just kept the same high speed and was able to hang on to that puck and control it and do magical things with it like I've never seen very many people do.
Now, not in this game, but riding a shotgun for him for a lot of the successful years in Chicago is a guy by the name of Al Secord, who is not able to play tonight.
Well, he had the Maple Leaf flu. He was a little afraid.
It's contagious.
Well,
yes.
Yeah, well, back then especially. But no, he did have the flu, actually. Was quite sick and was unable to play in Game 1. And that was a big relief to us as well. And of course, he's one of the guys I got traded for later on. But,
that's right.
But Al was a big-time competitor and a tough guy, and a 50-goal scorer playing with Denny Savard. So he was dearly missed by the Blackhawks in Game 1.
When you played against him, and obviously Denny Savard got a lot of room because of his presence there, didn't he?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, as I said, Al Secord was one of the tougher guys in the league at the time. And, I mean, I had to play against him each time we played them. For the most part, he was a left winger, I was a right winger. So we banged heads quite a few times. And Denny did get a lot of room because of that, and it made him a better player, having Al Secord on his left side.
So the Maple Leafs are out in front by a score of 2-1 at the end of the first period in the Chicago Stadium, because it is April 9th, 1986, Game 1 of the Best of 5 Norris Division semifinal, and this is Molson Canadian Maple Leaf Classics on Leafs TV.